Hello everybody, welcome back to another tropical update here by Age Method Forecast. This is going to be really just a hurricane discussion, outlook, and forecast here. This is going to be just a general forecast. We're just basically see where we can possibly have systems this season. We're also going to be looking at maybe how active will the month of June be tropical wise. So we are also going to be talking about general the SSTs, where we have an El Nino, La Nina, or neutral, the models, all the conditions, and also at the end of the video, we're going to be looking at my own map here and my own forecast here. So we're going to be continuing to look at where we can possibly have tropical events and how intense they will be based. We're going to be looking at all the basically the conditions for the season. So we're also going to be mainly focusing on how active would June be this month here. So basically we're going to be really focusing on June, as June can be very active. As you tell, we already have another tropical disturbance or a disturbed weather out here in the northern or the tropical Atlantic. But be sure to subscribe if you love my videos and to show your awesome support. And also be sure to share the video to anybody that you know is excited about the tropical weather, and especially if they want to know how active June will be and whether they will be affected by a landfall or tropical disturbance. Without further ado, let's get in this video. So here you are looking at the current Nino 3.4 index here to see exactly what our latest value was, or whether it was a La Nina, if it's still at a La Nina, or if it's actually now back into a neutral. And actually the thing is, it is back to a neutral, a very weak neutral. And basically what a neutral, it doesn't really mean much, but really when it comes to a neutral, La Nina on average, it brings a lot more active seasons and more named storms and landfalls and major hurricanes on average, based because La Ninas tend to bring in less wind shear for the tropical Atlantic and northern Atlantic on average, and also bring in more SSTs. That's exactly why we are really hoping for La Nina if we want a very active season. But the thing is, it went back to a neutral here, as it is back at negative 0.3. Negative 0.3 means basically it is back to a neutral. Anything below a negative 0.5 is considered a La Nina. As you see, we were at a La Nina for about a week and a half, maybe even more than a week here. Almost 2 weeks we were at a La Nina. At this point, went all the way down to negative 0.6. So it was a pretty decent La Nina. And then it went back out now into a neutral to negative 0.3. And it continues to go down. It went all the way to negative 0.2. So now it's going down. So this might become a La Nina once again. But technically we are in a neutral here. We have to wait to see if we get back to La Nina. But just because for example, let's say we have a neutral all the way to July, that doesn't necessarily mean we're not going to be seeing a very active season, because the neutral is different every single year. Like winters, neutral bring different events and different conditions for the general areas. But on average, La Nina is more favorable for really active season. But neutral can be really a 50-50, whether it's average or whether it's active or inactive. So even if we are in a neutral, a very weak neutral, we still see a very active season, but not as active maybe, because we're already at Cristobal here. The next name is North Dahlia D. So we're still really active as of now. But now let's go ahead and check out also other stuff, including the SSTs, and see how favorable the conditions are right now. So here you are looking at the current SSTs right now, or sea surface temperature. And this is an anomaly, so it changes every single day here. And if you want to see above average temperatures, you want to be from anything from that light yellow beyond all the way to the dark red, all of that. If you want to be below average, from the light blue to the dark blue here, even purple if it's cold enough. As you see, we're seeing a generally very warm, really northern Atlantic, really quite a very warm tropical Atlantic and northern Atlantic. As you see, we have a couple areas in the northern Atlantic that are a little bit cooler, especially those are the areas that we don't tend to see systems at this point in June. And of course, we don't tend to see systems in the general areas at all, really, unless we have a system that goes up the coast like that. But as you see, the areas where we tend to see tropical systems in June, they have very favorable conditions for the SSTs right now. And also, it all depends on the SAL, or the Saharan air level dust here that comes off the coast of Africa, and can bring in dust all the way to the Caribbean. That all depends. If this is weaker, if we have weaker and less Saharan dust, that means we have a more moist atmosphere, and we have it in warmer SSTs. We have a perfect scenario here. And as you see, we have a tropical disturbance of disturbed weather. It is very warm temperatures. We have areas in the Caribbean that are a very big, very high risk for potential tropical disturbances and tropical systems for the month of June. And that could very well, we can maybe have one already with this disturbance right here that can possibly go like that or like that. So we're already having some signs of an early active June, but how will it continue to be in this pattern now that we're back at a neutral? We're having areas that are up to 2 degrees Celsius above average here. So very, very warm temperatures at this point right here. So very, very warm temperatures, and even we're having a huge warm up for portions of the East Coast right now. Very huge warm up. When we had Arthur and Bertha, they were very cold temperatures, but now we're having a huge warm up, but we're having a huge cool down for portions of the Gulf of Mexico. But right now, the Western Caribbean, or much of the Caribbean and tropical Atlantic, is at a very big risk for potential tropical development for this June. That's basically my area of focus for June. This is basically my area of focus for the month of June right here. This is my area. Actually, if we're going to talk about landfall, I think this could very well be my area of focus for June, maybe even including portions of the Gulf of Mexico. This is we can very well have some potential systems that can make landfall in June. Maybe we can even include portions of the Gulf of Mexico right here. This general area is a really big risk for potential development or a landfall at this point for June. So if you know anybody in this circle, including Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and the whole Caribbean, they're definitely at a risk. Now let's go and check out this new disturbance and very well see if this could very well become a maybe even Dolly before mid-June. It's absolutely crazy how we're talking about this. So as of right now, looks like June's starting to really become very active. We already had Cristobal, maybe we can have a Dolly. We'll see exactly how this plays out. So here we are looking at the the National Hurricane Center and from Miami, and here we have this area of potential disturbed weather is at a 10% chance now for development within the next 5 days right now. As you see, it actually is moving, could very well affect portions of the U.S. Virgin Islands and not far, maybe even portions of northern South America. You guys can get some strong winds and all of that. So this could very well, we have a very well-defined tropical wave here. That's 225 miles east of the Windward Islands, continuing to produce disorganized showers and thunderstorms. So this is really disturbed weather right now. We are seeing some disturbed weather. We're also seeing very, very nice and really favorable conditions in the atmosphere, and development is likely furthest thing as it passes the U.S. Virgin Islands and the Windward Islands. This could very well potentially become a system. As you see, the X is where the system is right now. This is the circle where this could very well develop from now to the next 5 days here. So I would not doubt this actually becomes something, or I would not rule out the possibility of this getting a higher rating of potential development due to the very organized really favorable conditions here. We aren't having too much SAL in the dust. We are SAL right now. We're seeing some higher amounts of SAL right here, but very little flow at this point. We're seeing obviously very warm SSTs. This is including the Eastern Caribbean, so this is very favorable conditions at this point. So now let's go and check out in satellite imagery exactly see whether this thing is organized, very disorganized, or just some scattered showers. So here we are looking at the system. Here we have the Windward Islands, and also I believe the Windward Islands. I believe the U.S. Virgin Islands are actually to the north. I believe so. We could maybe I don't know exactly if these are exactly some portions of the islands, or if this is the Windward Islands or the U.S. Virgin Islands. I think this is Windward Islands here, but here we have the system. This is where we have very disturbed weather. We're having very disorganized showers and thunderstorms. I see that very dense cloud cover. It's not too organized. It's very small, as you can tell, but very decent amount of cloud cover at this point. Of course, you're not going to be seeing a ton of vorticity or anything like that because it's not even an invest. It's just absurd thunderstorms. And I see, I would not rule out the possibility of this becoming a system. Really strong, disturbed thunderstorms, scattered thunderstorms. I would not rule out the possibility as this does move into warmer SSTs and temperatures like we saw in the Caribbean. I would not rule out the possibility of this becoming a system, whether it's just an invest or tropical depression, tropical storm. It all depends. I don't have really high confidence of this becoming named. I can't really say I have confidence in this being named, as it's only a 10% chance. But based on the really favorable conditions, I do think this could very well become something very interesting, whether it's a depression, maybe even an invest. But I don't have huge confidence now of it becoming named, but I'm not going to rule out the possibility. This definitely has a better chance in that system than the Northern Atlantic. I believe last week they had a 20% chance, and I said that's not going to form. That didn't form. This is otherwise, this thing really has a higher possibility of actually becoming a system. So quickly, we're going to be looking at the general radar for the for the Northern Atlantic here. This isn't going to, I won't be showing this long. I'm just going to be seeing exactly where we can have spots. Like I said, this could very well be my area of focus for the month of June right here. This is my area of focus, not including this, because we are seeing some drier atmosphere there, and also some cooler, really cool temperatures. We could maybe have a little something that comes off from the west coast of Africa if we have a tropical wave at this point here. But I think that'd be more likely in July when we have that huge wave of tropics from the coast of Africa. But here we have the special potential system, 1,012 millibars here, heading towards the Windward Islands, and I believe the U.S. Virgin Islands are right here to the north. I believe so. But heading towards the Windward Islands and maybe even U.S. Virgin Islands, that's some scattered severe storms, and that's going to bring in. It's going to be really right here. This is where the system is right now, and as you see, it kind of falls apart and goes towards Puerto Rico. So we don't really exactly know how strong this is going to be exactly. We don't really know much about this system here or this disturbed weather. But you see, we are having a little tropical wave of some scattered thunderstorms that could very well become something here. That is going to be where we can very well maybe have some storms or some disturbed patterns that can become a highlighted area, and then they go like this. That's exactly why. Just because this area isn't in my square of focus doesn't mean we're not going to have anything. This is where I think we can have landfall. In this little circle or in this little square is where I think we can have landfall, not where we're seeing storms develop. Here, obviously, we can have storms that develop in June here. I think we cannot rule out the possible things to form here in June. And then they become named, and make landfall in my area of focus right here. That's how it's going to work there. So I'm not saying we're not going to have anything to develop right here. Really, I think if we have anything to develop, it's going to be most likely right here to the tropical Atlantic, not too far off the, we're not going to have anything really, in my opinion, to form too many times just off the coast of Africa. I think it'd be a bit more to the Atlantic here. And as you see, we are going to be seeing some disturbed weather for portions off the coast of Georgia and South Carolina by June 17th here. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility of that being as something. And then we're going to be seeing some low pressures off the coast of South America that can head into portions of the peninsula there of Panama. So we cannot rule out the possibility of having things going up the Central America coast, and then even having some systems for the Eastern Atlantic. So that's what we're looking at there. Let's go ahead and check out now the wind shear at this point. See exactly, not the wind shear, but also going to be seeing the moisture for the month of June. Exactly see where exactly we have a lot of moisture this month, exactly where we can be seeing the most favorable conditions for the month of June, and also in general for the hurricane season. So here we are looking at the wind shear here. As you see, very unfavorable conditions where we have a lot of shear. So we have a lot of wind shear flow at this point right now in the tropical Atlantic, but where we have this disturbed thunderstorms, we have very little shear at this point. Also, seeing if we're gonna have anything at this point in the next coming days, it's going to be right here. Very favorable conditions for portions of the Western Atlantic. The reason why I think we're going to have many systems there is we're going to have very little shear this month for portions of the Caribbean. Very little shear. Obviously, it doesn't mean we're not going to have shear whatsoever, but very little shear. As you see, a lot of wind shear, a lot of wind to the higher atmosphere for portions off the coast of Africa. That's exactly why I'm not saying. That's exactly why I don't think we're going to have many systems to form just right here. That's exactly why I think we have maybe systems to form right here, where we have a little bit less shear and a bit more warmer sea surface temperatures there. As you see, we're not going to be seeing much shear for the Caribbean at this point until really late June. And then as we get to really late June, that's when we have very favorable conditions for portions of the tropical Atlantic here. And even for the southeastern coast, we can have some favorable conditions with very little shear. So as you see, it just takes a matter of time. We can change within a week of favorable conditions. As you see, very unfavorable conditions by June 20, for example, June 18th, very unfavorable conditions. for tropical systems. Just because we have a lot of wind shear doesn't mean we're not going to have anything to develop, but it probably wouldn't be as strong. It might fall apart very easily. That's June 18th, then June, all the way June, really 22nd. Now you're starting to see favorable conditions. So it just takes a matter of time. Things change very quickly. So just because we don't have favorable conditions for that specific date, it's an anomaly, so it's going to change. So obviously this is just showing you what we have right now. So here I'm looking at the amount of precipitation here for the anomaly here for the month of June. Of course, it's an anomaly, so it changes every single day. But you want to have way more to have favorable conditions for a tropical system. You're going to want a lot of moisture, above average precipitation. That's exactly what we're going to be seeing for portions of the Gulf, and also the Caribbean. This is exactly where I highlighted my areas. As you see, very favorable conditions for portions of the tropical Atlantic right here. Not right off the coast of Africa, like I said. Very dry atmosphere, very little precipitation because of the Saharan dust. So very unfavorable conditions for just off the coast of Africa, like I've been saying all this video. Of course, it can change. It can very well change, but really favorable conditions we're gonna have possibly systems develop right here, and then head this way, and then potentially hit the Caribbean, heavy spell in the Gulf. As you see, it's all adding up. What I've been saying, it's all adding up. The Gulf right here, the Caribbean, all in my area of potential landfall and big name storms that develop. We have the highlighted area here, and then it enters that little area. And just because you are under dry precipitation or below average doesn't mean you're not gonna have anything. It's just not as favorable. But really favorable conditions for June here. This is the month of June. And as you see in August, portions of August, July, same conditions, very favorable conditions now for portions of the west or the tropical Atlantic that can very well have the Caribbean. August also very favorable conditions for portions of all the way from the west coast of Africa to the Gulf of Mexico. That's exactly why I think August could very well be a huge month of tropical activity. As we look into September here we're going to be this is actually October, I believe. Yeah, this is September here. This is August, very favorable conditions there. And then here we have potentially October could maybe have some systems, whether it's going to be in the tropical Atlantic. And then November looks very active, maybe for potentially the Gulf of Mexico, maybe Bay of Campeche, Yucatan Peninsula, and then also Northern Atlantic. And then as we go all the way to December, who knows? We can have a December system all the way from the west coast of Africa to the Caribbean. If we have something in December, it will be in the Caribbean. Now let's go check my final forecast here. Drum rolls, please. So this is where I think we're going to be seeing. You guys already saw this in my last final forecast. I think we're going to very well see some big systems at this point right here develop, where I circle that X areas that can develop right at this point. As you see, if you're in the light yellow, you are in the close call. You can have a close call landfall or maybe some tropical activity, whether it's a landfall or whether it's a landfall or whether it's a close call, like Arthur, for example. Arthur just skimmed the Outer Banks. Who knows? We can have something like this that can very well go like this and have a high pressure system that blocks and goes like this. Can very well make a very close landfall and then go down the Atlantic. Of course, this is a cone. Very widespread cone, so this has a huge area of potential systems, whether it's one system or three systems this season. So we can either have one system go like this, right on the edge of the cone, or something like this that can make a landfall. So if you're in that yellow, you definitely don't want to be, you don't have to be as on the lookout for this year, but you want to potentially, you can very well have something this year, whether it's one system, two systems, in the red. Now in the red, you definitely want to be on the lookout this year. Without a doubt, you want to be on the lookout. We're going to be seeing major systems right here in its potential red right here. We're going to be seeing most of the systems heading that way, or our biggest system. We're going to be seeing most of the activity this year and many landfalls. As you see, that's including Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, portions of North Carolina, Florida, I already said Florida, Alabama, and even including Alabama. And even also including the Caribbean, including the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti. You guys in the Caribbean are definitely going to be on the lookout. We're going to be seeing many of the systems actually heading that way. And now in the orange, we're going to be seeing some activity in hurricanes. So you're basically, this is where we're going to be seeing the most activity by far at this point. Second most activity, and then the third most activity here. So we're going to be seeing, without a doubt, if you're in the orange, just because you're not in the red, you're not going to be seeing the most activity, doesn't mean you're not going to have to be on the lookout. We're definitely be seeing hurricanes in this area, including portions of Cuba, DR, Haiti, Jamaica, and of course we can't let the possibility for portions of Texas all the way to Alabama, Mississippi. So that's where we're going to be seeing some systems that way. I say we're going to be seeing very below average shear this year, especially for the Eastern Gulf and for the Caribbean and portions of the Northern Atlantic. Could very well see very little shear, and then we'll have slightly below average shear for portions of the southeastern coast to the Northern Atlantic there, all the way to Canada. And this is my final. This is actually my final forecast here for this season. Storm total named storms 17 to 22. Of course, we already had 3 before June 12th, which is crazy. Hurricanes, I believe we can have 8 to 12 hurricanes. I might bump that up to 13 in my next general hurricane outlook. And then major hurricanes, I think 3 to 6, which many people agree with me on 3 to 6, and I think that's a reasonable number. Can't rule out the possibility for 7, but that seems to be a bit on the higher side. But I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and bye, guys.